Hello there. Just another INFJ ramble. I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about how currently we are living in a very dualistic reality. You know, good, bad, right, wrong, dark, light, male, female, Democrat, Republican, police officer, criminal. Yeah, so this current reality that we are participating in is a dualistic reality. And I feel like, for me personally, everybody's on their own journey, but I feel like peace and what we would, I guess, refer to as enlightenment or nirvana can be attained by rising above dualism. So, what do I mean by that? It's almost like being in a neutral standpoint, where you're not choosing one side or the other, but you're actually able to understand and see why both are valid and necessary in their own right. So, yeah. So instead of dwelling in a dualistic reality, like I feel like in order, you need to kind of rise above it, and that's how you become more holistic in your approach to everything. So instead of like choosing one side or the other, like for instance, abundance and lack, health or sickness, you kind of understand why both are necessary, and the yeah, it's not one or the other. It's actually both are correct and both are needed in order to create this divine and holistic way of being or seeing in the world. Like if you choose one side or the other, it creates, think about it creates a lot of tension, it creates a lot of chaos, conflict, confusion. Um, you know what I mean? And you pit one side against the other, which only reflects what's going on inside of you. So if you have issues within yourself, and I mean, think about it. We're at war with ourselves all the time, but we can always choose to make peace. And I made videos on this before, like, like my priority is peace, because that's what it's all about. And I think you attain and acquire peace by looking at both sides, understanding them, and then integrating them together so that there's no longer conflict. There's more like a holistic harmony that coincides instead. So, yeah, like I feel like if you didn't have one, you wouldn't have the other, and both are equally necessary in order for all of this to be. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making sense, but it was just an idea that just kind of flitted through my head that I kind of wanted to make a video on. So it's funny. So I've gotten in the habit. So like people um, who like to debate, or people who like to, prove a point, usually when they coax me into a conversation of sorts, they'll ask me a question and they'll tell me their viewpoint, and they'll ask me like, do you agree or disagree? And I'm like, I agree and disagree. Or, answer yes and no. I think the answer is yes and no. And I've had a friend tell me like, you can't choose yes and no. You have to pick one side or the other. I'm like, well, why do I have to choose one side or the other? Like, yes, I agree with your point of view. It's completely valid based on your perception. However, I have my own point of view, and I think you're correct and I am correct, and there's nothing really to fight about. It's about having harmony in diversity and respecting each other's point of view, and then just kind of like trying to like understand it, apply it, and integrate it so that you can become more aligned, more balanced, and there isn't really a need for conflict or chaos. So that's how I've been approaching life lately. I don't think it's good or bad, right or wrong. I don't think it just is. It just is, really. And everything is just so momentary and so transitional that you can't really like hold something in place, because, you know, everything is like I said, in a constant state of transformation. So one moment it'll look this way, another moment it'll look this way, and then it'll look this way, and it's just never static, you know? So, yeah, just having rigid viewpoints and point of views is just like really, really toxic, I feel, to the system. And so, like, yeah, I've been looking at, like I said, looking at life and just kind of embracing my point of view and everyone else's point of view and seeing the validity in it. And also, like I said, I use it as a reference point to see where someone is at, because we're all in a state of progression. And some people are still learning, some people have learned the lesson, some people have like moved beyond that, you know, just, and every place that you're at is completely valid, you know. You don't crucify the seed for like being stuck in its casing, you know what I mean? That's where it's at. That's where it's at currently, and you need to respect that, you know. And then some people have broken through their seed casing, some people have become a seedling or sapling, and then some people are like great trees, you know, with a really strong root system. So yeah, tomato tomato, you know what I mean? So I think rising above duality is a really, really beautiful medicine that we can apply. And yeah, you know. And the thing is, I noticed like I have always been one to be really curious and inquisitive, and I want to understand someone's point of view, regardless of whether I agree with it or not. And I noticed like not everyone functions that way. Some people are just, they don't care to understand anyone else, you know. They just care about imposing their beliefs upon you, and then if you go against what they believe, then you're automatically like in the wrong. But that's not, well, it could be, you know, it just depends where you're at. But it just causes so much chaos and division and conflict. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like I'm at a point in life where I just need to move beyond that, because I just don't have time for these dramatics, you know? And, you know, I think you know that you can't change a person. They have to be willing to change themselves. So if, you know, they're not willing to be open, then I honor where they're at. And then I just kind of like know like when to stop engaging, because I don't want to create conflict because this person lacks understanding and is not willing to understand, you know what I mean? But if somebody is open and willing to understand, then, you know, I'll keep like the conversation going or the connection going or whatever, you know. But some people just don't want to understand. They're more, their focus is more on making you succumb to their point of view or their belief system or their influence. And, you know, I just can't deal with that. You know, like I respect them, but as far as like participating in it, I just can't. You know, maybe when I was 20, but I'm not 20 anymore. Anyhow, that was my little ditty on the topic of dualism and rising above it. If you learned something, that's great. If you didn't learn anything, that's great too. Um, Hope you're having a beautiful day. Thank you for watching, and blessings to one and all. Amen.